All right, so we're going to change gears a little bit in this video and not talk about current projects and that type of thing, but wanted to kind of go back in time with you a little bit and basically do a little explanation here of the first car. I can't remember if I've done any videos talking, I think I may have did a video of the car, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the archaeological part of this car and kind of take you back into some of my infinite things of when I first started and kind of why they're the way they are now, which it kind of looks kind of crappy in some areas. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But I bought this car when I was 15 years old in 2007. It was basically just a body. I'll have to do another video. I have some pictures of the car I can show you. But to say a car is really truly never done, and that's kind of what I want to talk about in this video, along with kind of a throwback to seeing, some things that were done that I wouldn't do now. The car's been painted since 2010. This was a Transtar epoxy Nason 2K primer, Lemco base coat, code PRH, blaze red crystal pearl metallic off a '08 Dodge truck with DuPont 72500S Chroma Premier clear. And at the time, with my school discount, that was like a $250 clear. So how things have changed. Even the SPI clear and Tamco clear, without them spending all that money on advertisement, is great clear, is just as good as that ever was or better, but it's still more expensive than that. But anyway, I just added the fuel cell about a year ago, right before the over the winter from 19 to 20. The car had a fiberglass trunk lid for a time period. That was a mistake. I will never do that again. So one of them wild hair ideas I had, and went back to the original steel deck lid about 2014. It's been quite a while. Got my 13 Forks drag strip sticker. I'll have to do a video and talk about that. Inside wise, we can kind of take a little bit of a flashback back into to 2007 when I bought the car. When I first looked inside this car, it had these same seats, and these are the seats from 2007. They have not ever been covered. I did have that top of that one fixed. The back seat is, I think the top is the original that was in the car, and the bottom is, I had a better one. I've had the dash out of this thing about 3 times, but about 2 years ago now, I think, I added a radio, LED lights in the dash, all that good stuff. This is an OE steering wheel. But it's kind of funny, when I bought this car, that's probably about the time my cancerous tumor started to grow. So that tells you how long it's been. Engine has been built since 2008. Actually, 07 to 08, it took about a year to get it built on a 15-year-old budget. 15-year-old kid's budget, I should say. A few things have changed under here over the years. I tried to paint the block with a brush, and that's falling off looking like crap. About a year ago, I added the tubular control arms finally, top and bottom. Just put quality ball joints in the cheaper control arms. Don't ever use the ball joints that comes with them. As you can see, my crappy smoothing the top of the frame rails job down here, and you can see that idea has grossly fell apart. I seen somebody in the club do that, and I thought that'd be a great idea, but I let the body filler just kind of stay out in the weather and get wet, so it's cracked all over the place. Actually, well, no, No, actually the filler hasn't cracked. It's just the crappy spray paint that's cracked. Same thing up here. All this was bondoed up, but it's all cracking. I used spray paint. I was bad about, before I bought me a paint gun, about 2011 or 12, I finally bought me a Harbor Freight paint gun. I was just using spray paint on everything. You'd be surprised the time I spent on the top of this firewall only to spray it with spray paint. And as you can see, it is absolutely falling apart. So just kind of taking you back in the days of when I was really cutting my teeth with this stuff. And, you know, tried to detail it under the hood. That was after the car was painted. At some point, I think around 2014, I painted this the color of the car, and I painted the valve covers the color of the car because I got sick of trying to keep these stupid things polished. Hooker ceramic coated headers, that was a big no-go. Never buy headers that's already ceramic coated. Them things look better now than they did right after I bought them, because I actually painted them with VHT. The VHT is held up better than their sorry ceramic coat. The intake we bought that way. Pro Systems carburetor has been done really well. The aluminum valve covers. You're gonna have to dig and find out where I got that thing to say that. I'll give you a hint. It's from Waco back in the 90s, from a certain fellow that had a 427 and a Camaro, and I'll leave it at that. All of this here has been on the car since it was built. This thing, that fuel filter's actually been on here since 2008. You know, it might be a good idea to change the fuel filter. What else can I talk about? Some of the things I've done that's kind of clumsy. Well, this is the radiator I won at the Williamston Spring Water Festival in 2007. It's still in here. This has been on here since day one. I did add an electric fan several years back, and then I upgraded to a good spall. That's kind of an idea come up with there. Savage engine sticker, aluminum water pump. All of this stuff's been on here since day one. So a lot of the stuff you're seeing here, at some point in time I had an idea to have a line lock. I disconnected that because it never did do right. MSD ignition, K&N filter. Still got the fiberglass hood, of course. I did go with a billet grill. I talked about this in another video. I won't talk about it much now, but it is an aftermarket grill. Let's see. These are rechrome. At some point, this car had a 72 bumper, and I had the park lights behind the grill. Well, I decided I wanted to change, so I went back with the 71 bumper and made all the lights work. So when my signals blink, these blink, and then those blink. And then I may have talked about this in another video. I can't remember. I just had an idea to come out here and do this. But just, you know, kind of change the look of the car. I put bigger wheels on the front. They used to have skinnies. The car looks better and handles a little better on the road with those. Craig, Owen, and Jeremy Pearson done my roll bar. He got killed in a car wreck at Ware Shoals Dragway several years back. That was a real shame. Back here in the trunk, pretty much kind of the way it was. The battery's been back here since day one. I added the on-off switch. Let's see. Yeah, this splatter paint's been back here quite a while now. The 71 SS idea that I had, that kind of stuck. You can see the suspension now. So, you know, just I did add the belt line trim, but there is definitely some things about this car that kind of take me back in time. And I've never, you know, a hot rod car like this don't get the attention that you would think, you know. Oh man, I bet people bug you all the time about wanting to sell it. No, not really. They'll bug me about the black car or my white car or any other car I have. This car is probably actually the least that draws the least amount of do you want to sell it or what would it take to get it type of comments. Just because this type of car is a special type of car, and most people, this is not a very practical car. I'll be honest with you. I would not want a car like this for it to be my only collector car to drive, classic car to drive. I'd say, nah, ain't collector cars to me. They're cars. So, I mean, you know, steel inner fenders. But yeah, all of this crap, all this stuff come from VSI and Engine Parts Warehouse in Greensboro, North Carolina. That's where most of the junk that you see come from. Valve covers, air cleaner, all the parts inside that engine. I want to say I added it up one time, because I know some of y'all is probably curious about this. And from intake to oil pan, no accessories or anything like that. Remember now, this is from 2007 to 2008. The labor to build the engine, all the parts, and my engine builder really helped me out. At the time, he only made 5 to 10% on the parts. I want to say I had $3,300 or $3,400 in the whole engine from intake to oil pan. That there's no way you could build that engine for that type of money today. It would be at least double that. Yeah, it would be double that. And if I freshened this engine up, I'd probably spend almost that. Or made a 496 or something crazy. And I've had thoughts of doing something like that down the road. But, I mean, you got to remember, when I built this car, I started building this car. I had a need for speed. I was 15. And it just kind of snowballed. And at first, I was going to build a clone, SS clone. And then I found this car. And it already had a nice interior, and it had basically a perfect body. And, of course, it had faded paint, so when we stripped it and started trying to make it pretty, then we found all the issues. Somebody had walked on the roof at one point in time, but whatever. But this car, it just snowballed. And the next thing we know, we've got a engine, we've got a transmission, I won that radiator, just things started coming together. And then we got, you know, had the rear end built, had a drive shaft made, then I had all the suspension done. I mean, it just absolutely, the car, actually the body's never been off frame. But this was my first build, basically. And I have another Monte Carlo that was my first car, but I guess if things got hard and I had to start selling cars, the white 70 I have and this car would be the last to have to go. Not that I don't like my 57 Chevrolet, that I don't like my 59 Impala, my Super Sport, you know, all these great things I've been blessed to own. But this is the car I really cut my teeth on. And, you know, I'm 29 now. I've had this car half my life. Almost half my life. I've had my white car. It's actually been here in the yard 2/3 of my life. So those are the two cars, and for a long time, those were my two cars. My white car was the car I drove most often, and this was my hot rod. And then this was really my first paint job that I'd done a lot of the stuff on. I had a lot of help from my friend, and this is where I helped him on his car, but I really done a lot of stuff on this car while he couldn't help me, even though the car was at his house. So this is really the car I cut my teeth on. So, if somebody wants to see the video and no, the car's not for sale. And I say it's not for sale. I wouldn't say I wouldn't let the car go for some obscene amount of money, but for the price that this car is actually worth, and this car is getting age. I mean, this engine compartment needs to be detailed. Mechanically, the engine's still perfect. I mean, this car probably has 60, maybe 50 or 60 drag strip passes on it. That's nothing. The paint job, with a little, it's dirty. With a little polishing and wipe it down with a detail spray, the paint job's just as nice as it was 10 years ago. Interior-wise, there's some things I want to do. I want to add go back with the factory console with a slap detent plate that I got, the fella in the club makes. And the seats, the springs are really wore out in my driver's seat. I want to get the seats done like I did in my Super Sport car there, and where I was set up a little better and bolster the seat covers. I may actually try to look into getting a set of seats, and I got plenty of extra seats to get that show on the road later this year. But I've got some loose ends to tie up. I'm working on my station wagon and my 59 Impala. I'm about to spend a watt on it with power steering. So anyway, I just wanted to show y'all this car. I know I'd seen some people comment on it in some of my other videos. So I just wanted to kind of do a more or less a rambling, babbling, talking about it, and just kind of take you back in time. And this is what happens when you pry your plate off with a screwdriver. So I had to just screw it back down or whatever. But, one day, I'd like to clean this thing up a little bit, but with me still kind of wanting to hot rod it a little bit, I got to be careful not to make it too nice, or I'm going to be afraid to hot rod with it. So, but like I said, back then, I wanted to go to drag strip every weekend. That bug kind of wore off, but I went back in October, just 3 or 4 months ago. Well, 4 months ago now, and kind of got the little bug bit again on it, and I was glad to get back down there and kind of shake the cobwebs off. And the car still runs great. I think my best run that night was like 752 at 91 miles an hour. So not bad for a 4,000. I don't know how much this car weighs, but I'd say with me in it, probably 3,800 pounds. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any more questions about the car, I'll be happy to answer them for you. Or if you want any more videos of me talking about a certain thing, if you want to hear about the history of, how the engine came to be, or a little bit more about, why I chose this car and all, I'll be glad to talk about it. But this is my car, and you'll see other cars come and go. You'll see cars I'll work on, but this is my car. Besides my white 70, this is my car. This has been an ongoing project now for 15 years. Cars ain't really never done. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you made it this far, like, share, comment. Remember, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.